Hello and welcome to An Old Man Watches. And today I'm going to be talking about 1959 film The Wasp Woman, a beautiful woman by day, a lusting queen wasp by night. And this film introduces us to one Dr. Zinthrop, who is studying the use of royal wasp jelly as a youth serum. He gets fired from his job with a funny farm, possibly because number one, wasps don't make honey, or number two, wasps don't make royal jelly. Or both of those things. At least, not outside the world of this movie, they don't. But in any case, I assume that in this movie, wasps do both of these things, and so Dr. Zinthrop approaches Janice Starling, the CEO and former spokesperson of a major cosmetics company. The corporation's sales have been in a slump ever since Janice stepped down as their spokesmodel in favour of a group of younger women. In the youth-obsessed cosmetics industry, Janice is too old to return to the role, quote-unquote. Janice sees everything that she built beginning to crumble, and so she eagerly seizes on Zintrop's work as a chance to rebuild the fortunes of her ailing company. She offers to fund him, subject to one condition, which is that she must be his first human subject. Zintrop's reluctant. He doesn't really feel ready for this step, but ultimately, if he wants to continue his work, he has to acquiesce. Even when he does, show a pleasantly sensible approach to human experimentation and insists that Janice only take very limited dosages. Unfortunately, she's quite willing to sneak additional doses behind his back. A secret that will soon have deadly side effects for those around her. So, this is another Roger Corman film. He made a lot of movies, generally as quickly and cheaply as he could, and because of that, he can be very hit and miss. Some of his movies I like, some are thoroughly tedious. This, I'm glad to say, is one of the ones I liked. Let's dive into some of the reasons why. So, first of all, despite the fact that the name Dr. Zinthrop is a gloriously mad scientist kind of name, and the fact that he has a scientific theory that has no basis in reality, Zinthrop is a sane, sensible character who wants to pursue his research in a safe, careful, well-documented and controlled manner. He's not like other cinematic scientists. He's not crazy and absent-minded or erratic. He never once cackles about his brilliant discovery or his great genius. All in all, he's a hugely refreshing change of pace from the usual scientist types that we see in movies. As somebody who, has a lot of faith in the scientific method and in careful, well-judged, well-researched scientific experimentation, it's pleasing to me to see a scientist on screen who even attempts to act something like a real-world scientist is supposed to do. I mean, sure, he's pretty quick to overcome his moral qualms when Janice Starling plays hardball over his funding, but the fact that he even has qualms is a nice thing, and gives the movie a different dynamic than most scientific abomination storylines. So, thumbs up for that. Liked it. Secondly, I like the fact that the film engages with the cosmetics industry and its cult of youth and beauty. Maybelline signed Sarah Michelle Gellar to be their spokeswoman in 1999. Gellar was 22 at the time. Cosmetics are very much about a product that is marketed towards looking youthful, and they use people who are already youthful to do that. The film clearly takes aim both at the duplicity of this and, at the concept that a more mature woman can't be beautiful. Because, of course, the leading lady is attractive. How often we might be told that she is too old to be the face of the company. Now, the film's not entirely guiltless on this front. Susan Cabot, who plays Janice Starling, was born in 1927, which means that she was at most 32 when filming this. Of course, cinema in general has always had something of a focus on youth and beauty, especially when it comes to women on screen, and this film is clearly not immune. I do think that they probably could argue that they had good reasons for casting a comparatively young woman as the over-the-hill, quote-unquote, Janice Starling. There are practical reasons. We have to show the royal wasp jelly to be rejuvenating her, and it's maybe easier to make a young actor look older and then remove that makeup to reveal, the beautiful woman underneath than the reverse. It is a smidgen ironic in the circumstances. Finally, speaking of the woman who plays Janice Starling, Susan Cabot is definitely one of the film's strengths. Her performance is very good, and she has great on-screen presence, which really helps the film overcome its small budget and cheap effects. You're not going to see, a human-sized wasp with a human head on it, for instance, in this movie. You're going to see a woman with a pretty lame wasp face mask. Cabot is so good, particularly compared to kind of the production qualities of the film in general, that after watching the movie, I hopped onto Google to find out more about her and her career. And I learned that she enjoyed some initial success in cinema westerns in the early 50s, but grew dissatisfied with the offers she was getting in Hollywood and left cinema for the New York theatre scene. Now, that seems not to have really worked out, because 3 years later she was back in Hollywood. Now, conspicuously, that was 1957, which was the year she turned 30. And we did just talk about the youth and beauty cult in Hollywood. If I was feeling very, very charitable, I would say that Roger Corman seems to have been the one producer willing to look past her age and see her ability. But it's Roger Corman, so quite probably the more likely answer is she was willing to work cheap. Whatever the reason, though, is she made several films with him in the late 50s, and only with him, it seems. And The Wasp Woman is the last of those roles. In fact, other than some off-Broadway work on the stage and a single episode of TV, it appears to have been her last role of any kind. Possibly because in later life she suffered from severe mental illness, which contributed to her death at the age of only 59 under very unfortunate circumstances. So, yeah, a very talented woman, and a sad story. The Hollywood is honestly not short of those, unfortunately, as I guess in general is the whole rest of the world. But yeah, I really did enjoy her performance here, and it made me look into her and learn a bit more about her. So yes, definitely one of the pluses of the movie. Okay, next time, we're going back to Gamera. I already talked about the first 2 films. Next time, I'm going to cover the remaining franchise entries from the 60s and early 70s. And that image tells you everything you need to know about Gamera in the late 60s and early 70s, frankly. It's very twee and silly. But that's next time. In the meantime, thanks for watching this one, and I hope you enjoyed it.